My greedy sister-in-law demanded the money I had carefully saved for my unborn baby's hospital expenses. She insisted that I hand it over to her, even though I had saved every penny for our baby's future. When I refused, her anger boiled over, and she couldn't contain herself. In a shocking act of rage, she kicked my 8-month pregnant belly. The pain was immediate and excruciating as I felt a sudden rush of fluid. I realized, in that horrifying moment, my water had broken. Everything blurred around me as panic set in. Chaos erupted as I struggled to comprehend what had just happened. Hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm 30 years old. I'm 8 months pregnant with my first child. My husband, Logan, and I couldn't be more excited. These past few months have been a whirlwind of preparations, from decorating the nursery to attending parenting classes. Amid all this excitement, Logan and I made a point to save $220,000 specifically for our baby's medical expenses. We wanted to be prepared for any possible challenges and ensure our baby would have the best care possible. It was our safety net, and we were determined to do everything right. We live in Denver, Colorado, and Logan's mom, Grace, has been an incredible source of support throughout my pregnancy. Since Logan's father passed away a few years ago, Grace has shown amazing resilience. Her warmth and encouragement have made her someone I deeply admire. She has been so excited to become a grandmother and has helped us in countless ways, from offering parenting advice to making my favorite meals whenever we visit. Logan and I have always felt lucky to have her in our lives. However, not everyone in Logan's family has been as supportive. His older sister Emily has always been difficult to deal with. Over the past few years, she has struggled with infertility, which I sympathize with deeply. I know how painful that can be, but unfortunately, her pain has often turned into resentment toward me. Her comments, while sometimes veiled in a casual tone, are often hurtful. I've done my best to avoid confrontation, even when her words sting. Logan and I make a concerted effort to visit Grace when we know Emily won't be there, as that tends to make things easier. But despite the tension, I try to focus on the positive aspects of our lives. Logan and I are looking forward to meeting our little one, and we've worked so hard to be prepared. For me, this pregnancy is a blessing. I won't let anyone's negativity overshadow the joy I feel at the thought of bringing a new life into our family. Despite the challenges, I remain hopeful and excited about the future. Little did I know, though, that the challenges we'd face were only just beginning. Logan and I had planned a visit to Grace's house for a relaxing afternoon. She had invited us over for lunch, and I was looking forward to spending time with her, enjoying her homemade apple pie, and taking a break from the hectic preparations for the baby. Grace's home has always been a comforting place, and I knew it would be the perfect spot for some much-needed relaxation. When we arrived, however, we were surprised to find Logan's sister Emily already there. Her presence immediately put me on edge. Emily gave me a tight-lipped smile before making her first comment. "Still milking this pregnancy, huh?" she said with a sarcastic edge. "Must be nice to sit back and do nothing while everyone else works." I could feel my heart drop, but Logan stepped in quickly, his protective instincts kicking in. "Emily, that's enough," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Hannah's 8 months pregnant. She's hardly sitting back and relaxing." Emily shrugged, feigning innocence as if she hadn't just made a harsh comment. "I was just saying, it wouldn't hurt to pitch in every now and then," she responded with a hint of attitude. Grace, ever the peacemaker, tried to steer the conversation in a more positive direction. She brought up light-hearted topics in an attempt to distract from the tension. But despite her best efforts, the air remained thick with discomfort. I decided to stay quiet, not wanting to escalate the situation further. Logan's hand on my shoulder was a small but comforting gesture. It reminded me that I wasn't alone in this. The rest of the visit passed uneventfully, but the awkwardness lingered. Emily kept her distance for most of the afternoon, and I was grateful for that. Grace's kindness helped ease some of my discomfort, but I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that always seemed to accompany Emily's presence. By the time we left, I was exhausted, not from the pregnancy itself, but from the emotional strain of trying to avoid conflict. It was mentally draining to always be on guard, trying not to let Emily's hostility get under my skin. Little did I realize, this was only a prelude to something far more intense. A few days later, I decided to visit Grace alone. Logan had some errands to run, and I wanted to take the chance to sit with Grace, talk about baby preparations, and get some much-needed advice. She always knew just what to say to make me feel better, and I was looking forward to a peaceful, uplifting visit. When I arrived at Grace's house, I was surprised to see Emily sitting in the living room, scrolling through her phone. She looked up briefly, then went back to her screen without so much as a greeting. "Oh, it's you," she said, her tone indifferent. "Didn't think you'd be here today." I felt a knot of unease form in my stomach but brushed it off. "I didn't know you'd be here either," I replied, trying to keep my voice polite. I sat down cautiously, trying to ignore the tension that seemed to hang in the air. Emily set her phone aside and turned to face me. Her expression was unusually serious, and I could sense that something was about to happen. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something," she said, her voice unusually calm. I hesitated, unsure of where this conversation was headed. "What is it?" I asked, trying to steady my nerves. Her words came bluntly without hesitation. "I need that $20,000 you and Logan saved for your baby's medical expenses." I stared at her, stunned, not sure I had heard her correctly. "Emily, that money is for my baby. We've been saving for months to make sure we're prepared." She crossed her arms and leaned forward, her expression hardening. "You don't even know if you'll need it," she snapped. "Meanwhile, I'm drowning in debt from fertility treatments. Family is supposed to help each other, and you're being selfish." I could barely believe what I was hearing. "I'm sorry for your struggles, Emily, but I can't give you that money. It's for emergencies, for my baby," I said, my voice shaky with a mix of anger and disbelief. Before Emily could respond, Grace walked into the room, her cheerful expression fading as she sensed the tension. "What's going on?" she asked, glancing between the two of us. "She's asking for the baby's medical fund," I explained, my voice shaking as I struggled to hold it together. Grace's face turned to shock. "Emily, that money is for Hannah and the baby. You can't ask for that," she said, her voice filled with disbelief. Emily's expression darkened, and she shot back bitterly. "Of course you take her side," she said, her voice laced with resentment. "Everything's about her now, isn't it? She's your favorite." "Stop it, Emily," Grace said firmly, her tone growing more authoritative. "This is unreasonable." The conversation spiraled into heated words, but I held my ground. I refused to let her guilt me into giving up the money that was meant for my child's health. However, I could never have predicted how far Emily would go next. The argument with Emily escalated quickly. Her voice grew louder, and her accusations sharper. "You have no idea what I've been through," she shouted, her eyes wild with anger. "Do you even understand how hard it is to watch someone else live the life you'll never have?" I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm despite her venomous words. "Emily, I'm sorry for your pain, but this isn't fair. I can't give you the money. It's for my baby." Emily's face twisted with anger, her words venomous. "You don't deserve any of this," she hissed. "You're just a spoiled little gold digger who got lucky." Grace's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "Emily, this behavior is unacceptable," she said, trembling with frustration. Before I could respond, Emily's rage boiled over completely. She lunged toward me, her movements quick and forceful. In an instant, her foot connected with my abdomen in a sharp, deliberate kick. The pain was searing, and I gasped, clutching my stomach. Time seemed to slow as the pain intensified, and I felt the sudden rush of fluid. My heart sank as I realized what was happening. "My water just broke," I whispered, my voice trembling with fear. Grace screamed in panic and rushed to my side. "What have you done, Emily?" she cried, her voice shaking with fear. "Hannah, stay with me. I'm calling an ambulance." Emily froze, her face pale as she backed away slowly. "I didn't mean to," she stammered, her voice filled with a mix of panic and regret. "I didn't mean for this to happen." The pain was unbearable, and my breaths came in short, desperate gasps. Grace held my hand tightly, trying to reassure me. "Help is on the way," she said, her voice breaking with emotion. "Just hold on." As my vision blurred, I could hear Emily's frantic excuses, but her words became a distant echo. The last thing I saw before everything went dark was Grace's terrified face, staying by my side, her hand gripping mine tightly. I woke up in a hospital bed, disoriented and in pain. The sterile smell of the room and the beeping of machines brought me back to reality. I instinctively reached for my stomach, but I immediately felt its absence. My heart raced with panic as I realized the baby was no longer inside me. My baby? What happened to my baby? Frantically, I pressed the nurse call button. Moments later, a nurse entered, her expression calm but concerned. "Mrs. Hannah, you're awake. Please try to stay calm. Everything is under control for now." I struggled to swallow, my throat dry, voice trembling as I whispered, "Where's my baby?" The nurse placed a comforting hand on my arm. "Your daughter is in the neonatal intensive care unit. She's stable but premature, and she'll need some time to grow stronger. You both went through a lot, but the doctors acted quickly." Relief washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by anger and fear. My baby had come into the world far too soon because of Emily's recklessness. I resolved then and there to recover as quickly as possible so I could be by my daughter's side. A few minutes later, Logan entered the room. His face was a mix of relief and rage. He rushed to my side, his hand gripping mine tightly. "You're awake," he said, his voice cracking. "Thank God. Our little girl is fighting hard. She's strong, just like you." Tears filled my eyes as he continued, but then he added, "But Hannah, what Emily did, we can't let it slide. I have already contacted a lawyer. She needs to be held accountable." I nodded weakly, the weight of the situation settling on me. "She nearly took everything from us," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I don't know how we're going to move forward after this, but we can't just let her get away with it." Grace visited soon after, her eyes red from crying. "Hannah, I am so sorry for what happened," she said, guilt heavy in her voice. "Emily crossed a line, and I'll do whatever I can to help you." I reassured her that this wasn't her fault, but the damage was done. My focus now was on my daughter's recovery and on making sure Emily faced the consequences of her actions. I could see how torn Grace was, and I wanted to comfort her, but everything felt so raw. I had so many emotions running through me, and I couldn't focus on anything but the fact that my baby was fighting for her life in the NICU. 2 days after the surgery, while I was still recovering in the hospital, Emily walked into my room unexpectedly, her husband trailing behind her, looking uneasy. Emily's face was a mix of defiance and something resembling remorse, though it was hard to tell. "I came to apologize," she began, her tone flat and insincere. I didn't mean for things to get out of hand. I stared at her, struggling to contain my anger. You kicked me, Emily. I almost lost my baby because of you. She rolled her eyes, waving her hand dismissively. It wasn't intentional. I was upset, okay. But I'm here to make things right. We'll cover some of your medical bills. How about $5,000? Before I could respond, Logan walked in, his expression dark with barely contained fury. $5,000, he said, his voice low and sharp. You risked my wife's and my daughter's lives, and now you think you can buy your way out of it. Emily's husband tried to intervene, holding up his hands. Look, we're just trying to resolve this without dragging it out. Logan's gaze shifted to him, cold and unwavering. This isn't something you can fix with money. What Emily did was assault, and there are going to be consequences. Emily's mask of composure cracked. You're all overreacting, she snapped, her voice rising with frustration. I've had a hard enough time as it is, and now you're punishing me for one mistake. One mistake, I said, my voice trembling with anger. You put my baby's life at risk. This isn't about your struggles. It's about your actions. You could have killed her. You don't get to walk away from that with a check. When it became clear that we weren't going to accept her offer, Emily stormed out, muttering about how unreasonable we were. Logan wasted no time that evening. We filed a police report against her for assault and reckless endangerment. I knew this wasn't going to be an easy road, but I couldn't let Emily's actions go unpunished. Grace, horrified by her daughter's behavior, provided crucial evidence. Security cameras in her living room had captured the entire incident, the argument, the kick, and my collapse. The footage was undeniable proof of Emily's aggression. As the investigation began, Emily continued to deny responsibility, claiming it was all an accident. She said she was overwhelmed by her struggles, but her excuses couldn't change the facts. The evidence was clear, and there was no way she could escape the consequences of her actions. I couldn't allow her to continue pretending like nothing happened. My baby's life was at risk because of her, and I needed justice. I had provoked her, and she insisted the kick was an accident, but the evidence told a different story. I was determined to see justice served. The trial began 2 months later, and Emily arrived in court with her lawyer, looking composed but defensive. Logan and I sat together, determined to see this through. The security footage Grace had provided was the cornerstone of our case, showing the undeniable truth of what had happened that day. Emily's lawyer attempted to paint the incident as a misunderstanding, claiming that the kick had been unintentional and that Emily had been emotional due to her personal struggles. She acted out of frustration, the lawyer argued. It was a moment of poor judgment, not malice. But the prosecution presented the video evidence, which showed Emily's aggressive behavior and the deliberate nature of her actions. They also highlighted her history of hostility toward me, further proving that this was no accident. When Emily took the stand, her composure cracked under questioning. I was pushed to my breaking point, she said, her voice rising. You wouldn't understand what it's like to face constant failure. Her outbursts only hurt her case, and things took a dramatic turn when the prosecution played additional footage of her yelling and lunging at me during the argument. The evidence was clear. Emily's actions were deliberate, reckless, and dangerous. As if to seal her fate, Emily's erratic behavior continued outside the courtroom. During one of the legal meetings, she lost her temper and threw a cup of coffee at me. Though thankfully it was cold, this incident was immediately reported and added to the charges, further demonstrating her lack of control. Her behavior seemed to spiral out of control as the days passed, and it only solidified the severity of her actions. The judge delivered the verdict swiftly. Emily was found guilty of assault and reckless endangerment. She was sentenced to 6 months of probation, ordered to attend anger management classes, and required to pay $50,000 in damages. This amount covered my medical expenses, my daughter's extended NICU stay, and compensation for the emotional distress caused by her actions. Hearing the verdict, I felt a sense of closure. Emily had finally been held accountable, and justice had been served. Logan squeezed my hand, and I knew we had taken an important step in protecting our family. With the trial behind us, Logan and I were ready to move forward. The stress of the legal battle had taken its toll, but knowing that Emily had been held accountable brought us a sense of relief and peace of mind that had been missing for months. We decided it was time to leave Denver and start fresh in Austin, Texas, a city we had always dreamed of living in. The move wasn't just about escaping Emily, it was about creating a safe and peaceful environment for our family, away from the turmoil and negativity that had consumed our lives for so long. We changed our phone numbers and limited contact with extended relatives who tried to mediate on Emily's behalf. Grace supported our decision wholeheartedly, though it broke her heart to see us leave. She promised to visit often and stayed in touch with us as we settled into our new home. Meanwhile, our baby girl remained in the NICU, continuing her fight to grow stronger every day. Logan and I spent hours by her side, talking to her, holding her tiny hand, and cheering her on through the incubator glass. She became our symbol of resilience, a reminder of the strength we had to find in ourselves. It was painful to see her so small and fragile, but we knew she was a fighter just like her mother. After 2 long months, we finally received the news we had been waiting for. Our daughter was ready to come home. The day we brought her home was one of the most profound moments of my life. Holding her in my arms, feeling her warmth, and knowing that we had made it through the storm together, I knew that nothing could break the bond between us. It was the beginning of a new chapter for our family, one filled with hope, healing, and love. As I looked at Logan, our daughter nestled safely in his arms, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. We had faced unimaginable challenges, but we had come through it stronger and more united. With Emily's actions behind us, we could now focus on building the future we had always dreamed of, a future of peace, love, and family. And with that, we began our new life in Austin, ready for whatever came next. Knowing we had each other, I felt a wave of gratitude and love that eclipsed all the pain we had endured. We named her Lily, a name that symbolized purity and new beginnings. Every night as I rocked her to sleep, I was reminded of how precious life is and how much we had fought to protect her. Though the shadows of what Emily had done lingered in the background, they no longer defined us. Logan and I focused on building a future filled with joy, love, and the hope that our daughter's life would always be surrounded by positivity and peace. As we settled into our new chapter, I knew we had turned the page on the past. We were stronger, closer, and more determined than ever to protect the beautiful family we had created. In the months that followed, our lives began to settle into a peaceful rhythm. Logan and I focused on raising Lily, celebrating every milestone she reached with gratitude. Her resilience inspired us daily, reminding us of the strength it took to get here. Emily, on the other hand, faced the consequences of her actions. The legal punishment she received strained her relationships with friends and family. Many distanced themselves, appalled by what she had done. Her financial troubles deepened as she struggled to pay the court-ordered damages, leaving her isolated and burdened by debt. Eventually, she left Denver to start over in another city, cutting ties with most of the family. Grace kept us updated occasionally, though she respected our decision to maintain distance. Despite her heartbreak over Emily's choices, she fully supported us, understanding that protecting our family was the priority. For me, the journey was not just about healing physically, but also emotionally. I often reflected on what had happened and how it had tested my strength, my relationship with Logan, and my determination to protect my daughter. The ordeal had been painful, but it taught me the importance of standing up for myself and my family, even when it meant confronting those closest to us. Logan and I made it a point to focus on the future rather than dwelling on the past. Our new home in Austin became a sanctuary filled with love and laughter. We surrounded ourselves with supportive friends and built a community that embraced us during this new chapter of our lives. We started taking small trips as a family, exploring the beauty of our new surroundings and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Every moment with Lily felt like a gift, and we cherished her more than words could express. As I rocked Lily to sleep one evening, I whispered a promise to her, a promise to always fight for her, no matter the challenges we faced. She had come into this world under the most difficult circumstances, but she was a testament to the resilience of our family. We had survived the darkest of times, and now we were walking toward a brighter future, hand in hand. Though the scars of what Emily had done would always remain, they were a reminder of the strength we had found within ourselves. Logan and I emerged stronger, ready to embrace the bright future we had worked so hard to secure for Lily and for us. It wasn't just about healing. It was about transformation, about becoming the parents and people we had always hoped to be, and about making sure Lily grew up in an environment full of love, security, and endless opportunities. We continued to stay in touch with those who had supported us through the most challenging times. Grace and I spoke regularly, our relationship growing even stronger through the ordeal. She remained a source of comfort and wisdom, always offering an ear when I needed to vent or reflect. She had seen the worst of what had happened, but she never wavered in her love and support for us. The future seemed full of promise, and with each passing day, we felt more and more confident in the path we were walking. Our family, once torn apart by tragedy, was now stronger than ever. We had found peace in our new home, and as Lily grew, so did our dreams for the life we would build together. It wasn't just about surviving the past, it was about creating something beautiful out of the ashes, something we could be proud of. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed it, please leave it a like to let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to leave a comment below and share your favorite part of the story. And if you want to hear more stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to me. Thank you for being a part of this journey.